This is a Shrimps Trust podcast. All news and all views expressed in the podcast are those of the contributors, not necessarily those of Morecambe Football Club.
Yeah. God, I believe me. Blessing in the land is Morecambe FC. Has gone to see me. Blessing in the land is Morecambe FC.
Right, welcome along. This is podcast 4 of the season of the Shrimps Trust podcast, ShrimpNet. So welcome along. Today, Joel from the Trust and myself are joined by the boardroom dynamo, who's currently interrupting his Greek holiday. So he's on foreign shores, so you'll have to excuse his intermittent reception if he comes and goes. Welcome along, Charlie Appleyard.
Thanks, Brandon.
Oh, that sounds a bit muffly again, but there you go. Lean forward. He was trying to relax on his bed.
That's better.
That's better, yeah. And from the dressing room, I'm absolutely delighted. We welcome our newest midfield maestro, our summer signing from Port Vale, Jake Taylor. Thanks for joining us, Jake.
Good evening.
So, where do we start? Well, a good place to start is obviously the last weekend's, last two games. Fleetwood with a 1-1 draw and a 1-0 defeat at the Uni Bowl. I'll start with the Fleetwood game, guys. Joel, celebrate. We scored a goal.
I know, it's fantastic. And it was a really nice hit as well. We've seen some of the stuff that Arth can do and the kind of shots he can hit off that left foot. And, when he catches it properly, it's an absolute rocket. That one at Charlton that he scored at the near post in the second half, their keeper barely saw it. And the same with that one. It's kind of almost a bit unexpected because he's in such a difficult position. But, the way he hits it is so good. But then I think in that half, particularly towards the end of it, we kind of really saw what I think is the kind of pinnacle of, what we like to call Derek ball, because I think he gets his reputation of being this kind of 1-0 horrible shithouse, nick a goal here and there kind of thing. But really, when we've seen it in full flow for a season, we've created a lot of chances. And I think we saw that at the end of this half, especially in that we kept it tight all half. We haven't really given Fleetwood much. And then towards the end of that half, obviously we get the goal. Maybe that gets our confidence up a bit. We'd had a little bit on the break already. But then we get, a number of really quite good chances. And obviously we've had that succession of corners as well, and nearly turned 1 or 2 in from a set piece. So I think, looking at that goal did kind of set us up a bit. I think maybe in the second half, maybe Fleetwood got a bit too much of the game. They were just able to have a bit too much territory, and maybe we didn't quite push back enough at certain times. But we still had that chance with Dylan Connolly. We all know what a massive threat that pace he's got running in behind. He's had one against Shrewsbury, and obviously this one against Fleetwood, and they've not gone in, but they will do soon. So let's not fret too much about that. Hopefully, and then they've scored a very good goal. I thought they had a lot of pressure without creating too many clear-cut chances. But I think could have done. Maybe it would have been nice to be able to try and ease the pressure in the second half. But overall, there's a lot of positives in that performance, I reckon.
And Jake, what was the feeling in the dressing room after the game? Disappointed with the point or happy with it in the end?
I think from the boys' perspective, ultimately it was a disappointment. I think we should have put the game to bed by half time. I think we should have been 2 or 3 goals up. I think we are not in the space of 5 minutes. We had 3 really good chances. I should have scored one myself. But coming out of the game, we went into the game wanting to win. I think we looked at the game as, an opportunity to get 3 points. The reaction from the boys was ultimate disappointment, like you just said.
And Charlie, a decent crowd and a good sort of Lancashire derby atmosphere. But when we look back at that, it was a good point to get. We scored a goal, and as Joel said, the tactics from that game, certainly in the first half, they didn't really create much. So it looked pretty positive at half time, didn't it?
No, it did, and it's a common theme. We should have converted a few more chances. I think I had to go on the defensive or attack. So if you look on Facebook on Sunday, when the guy was saying about negative style of play and stuff, and I was like, we are actually doing really, really well. I think and there's obviously some distractions going on as well, which isn't easy for the players, I'm sure. And we are trying our best. And we'll come to Bolton game in a bit, but I think John Abika is a proven goal scorer. I think people have been getting on his back a bit about not converting chances. He's hardly been in the team for 2 years. He snapped his hamstring off the bone last year.
Yeah.
He's getting back into it. He's going to score goals.
Yeah, I think there has been criticism of John, and I do feel for him because, as you said, this is probably the only 90 minutes he's had. Has been sort of like in the last 2 weeks after nearly 12 months out. So it's hardly surprising, really, that he's he needs it. You know better than anybody, Jake, as a professional footballer, you can be as fit as you like, but the speed of the game, you need games, don't you, to get up to speed with it.
Exactly that. You need a run of games, probably 5, 6, 7 games on the bounce to get up to match fitness. And there's nothing that can replicate that. You can do all the training you like. Nothing replicates, the speed of the game and that match sharpness.
And I think I'll come back to something that Joel said as well, which I was quite flippant in one of my Twitter feeds, where it's like we missed our now traditional one-on-one, which bizarrely when we come to Bolton we didn't. But in the first 3 games we did miss a one-on-one. We've had the same situation where we've got a person in with a one-on-one situation, and the keeper's managed to stop it every single time. But the good thing is, we're using Dylan's pace quite well. At least we're getting in those positions, Joel.
Yeah, definitely. I think like Tom made Don Collins, when he was on last week, made the point about Ash Hunter's through ball as well for that one. There's some good build-up play and going into it. And I think actually that one for Cole Stockton's against Peterborough, that is a particularly good example of it, of where they've had the ball, they've tried to play out. Farron Rawson has come up to it, smashed into somebody on the halfway line, got the ball back. Then we've got Peterborough on the back foot when they're not really set up to defend, and that's what we did for the one against Shrewsbury. Obviously, I think Cole's got it on the halfway line, turned on the break after Delaney's carried it out of defence when we were defending, and then for the Fleetwood one, I think they've not kept hold of the ball very well, and Love's picked up on the halfway line. There's a little gap because their fullback's gone out of position, and we've popped it in behind. So, these chances are going to open up. We're set up in a way to try and, I think in a way to try and exploit those situations and create those situations when they're going to pop up. So, yeah, hopefully one will be converted soon. Just to touch back on the Beaker as well, actually, that the Fleetwood game was his first ever 90 minutes with us. Yeah. So that'll be his first 90 minutes in a competitive league match in well over a year in 30-degree heat. I mean, I was sitting in the stand in shade, and I am just feeling a bit stressed about the match, obviously. And I was shattered by halftime. So I don't know what it would have been like running around there with the sun beating down.
We played 3 at home, unbeaten, beating a championship side on penalties. And we've had 2 difficult away games. Once against the potential top of the league at the end of the season, and once against a brilliant Bolton team, right? It's not panic station at all.
No panic stations from us. And I'll move on to the Bolton game now. It looked like we'd reduced them to very few chances during the game, and they did get increasingly frustrated. But obviously, just before half time, there was a situation where the man turned in the box and obviously set it up nicely, and it was a decent goal. But obviously, we didn't really come out of our shell until sort of like 10 minutes from the end, and that's what the bit I found frustrating, and the fact that it was still Bolton trying to get a second until 10 minutes from time. And then we finally, Derek made a few changes, including Jet, and obviously we had a go. But ultimately, we came away not too disappointed, Joel. And that's a funny thing to say. I've really lost 1-0.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one with playing a team like Bolton, who are very good at keeping the ball, and the way they press is very, very good. I think when we win the ball back, I noticed they were kind of swarming players around and that's a good tactic, and I think they were doing it quite effectively. I think when we say about going for it in the second half, it's a game of risk versus reward, because there becomes a certain point in the game where you just have to go for it, and that is the last 10 minutes. But when you're only 1-0 down with a whole half of football to play, you can't always just absolutely hammer it up the pitch. And I think, if we look at the goal they did score, it's come from a situation where we're trying to break on them. I think we picked up the ball in midfield, and I think I can't remember what exactly happened, but we've tried to play a through ball. they've nicked it and then counted it back on us when we were sending a few people forward to try and exploit it. And ultimately, that's been the goal that's done for us, not because they kind of wore down our defence, it's because they caught us when we were trying to counter them. And I think if you look at how solid we were defensively, I think, you can understand why that's something they've had to exploit, because it didn't look like they were going to really break us down just in their kind of preferred attacking method of just knocking it around and trying to move us about a bit, because we were really solid. I thought, Derek made a slight alteration with the formation and that worked really well, it looked like. So, yeah, there was a lot to be pleased about that performance. I think just we didn't quite get that groove going in the second half, especially. I think maybe they felt a bit more confident killing the game, just getting that goal before half time. But we didn't quite get that groove going to maybe link up a bit more in attack, because I think we had that a little bit in the first half and we'd had a couple of tight offsides. But yeah, I think maybe that's partly them just feeling a bit more confident and be able to kind of take the ball off us and kill the game a little bit.
And
Jake thought they attacked like a pack of wolves every time. The Bolton players, about 3 or 4 Bolton players, closing down straight away on our players straight away. It must be quite difficult to create. 1 second.
Yeah, I think that was the point I was going to make, Jake. Jake, you came on and it was a difficult situation for you because obviously we are chasing the game. I know you had a shot and you were trying to be as effective as you can, but even with sort of 15 minutes left, they were pretty effective in swarming around the ball, weren't they?
They were, and I think that's the philosophy. Obviously, their manager wants to implement that counter press, which I think many teams are doing now. Once you lose the ball, the turnover is, their ultimate thought is to get the ball back, and it makes it more difficult for you to, get that first and second pass away, so you can break on their midfield and back four. But I think you've got to look who we're playing against. You're playing against a Bolton side with, really good players. Obviously, a massive budget for that level. And I thought we held our own for, last majority of the game. We defended, I think, really well in the game, and I came close with Ryan's header off a set piece, and
good delivery.
Very good delivery. And on another day that can go in, and we come away with a point, and we're talking about a completely different game.
And again, there was another fantastic cross from Ash with Farron Rawson's header as well, which. About a little bit higher, a little bit to the left, and that's a goal as well. And again, another quality delivery, and that's what Ash brings to it, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He's got that quality over dead ball scenarios, and hopefully this season we can use that as a weapon. And obviously, it's a massive goal threat for us.
Like I say, it's a straight. Oh, Charlie's gone again. Oh no, Charlie's back. So yeah, it was a strange one because a lot of people, obviously we took nearly 800 fans there on a Tuesday night, which is a good turnout. And a lot of people came away saying, well, we didn't really deserve anything. And yet they felt quite heartened in the defensive performance. Jay, last season we conceded 88 goals in the league. And personally, I don't think we'll look like we're doing that. I think we scored 50 odd as well, but I don't think we might score 50 odd this season. But we don't look like conceding 88 goals at the moment, and that's where Derek wants to start, isn't it?
Well, that's your basics. If you obviously got a great defensive unit, the least you're coming away with is a point at the end of the day. Yeah. We just need things to click in the forward areas, and the goals will come. But they're your basics. That's your foundation, your defensive unit, and the back three, back fours on occasions this season has been really good up to now.
And so moving on, the forwards need to click, which needs perfectly into Charlie. I've got to ask you. There's an elephant in the room, and it's called Cole Stockton. So I know you're in Greece on your holidays, but can you tell us anything? What do you know? I mean, is he on his way? Is he ill? Is he?
I know everything, but I can't tell you everything.
That's fine.
But the fact is, he did call in sick, like Derek said last Saturday. He has got a doctor's note signed off by the doctor, so people who think it's not real. It's officially signed off by a doctor, so you can't argue with that. like James said last week, we've only had derisory offer, 2 derisory offers via his agent, but we haven't had any official offers via clubs. We're just trying to work through it.
So we'll see how it is. So we don't expect him back for Saturday then, really, because if he's off sick, isn't he?
I don't think he'll be back. I can't comment on that on holiday. I don't know about that, but I don't know the exact answer to that question. I'm not sidestepping. I actually just don't know. But we're trying to find some resolution. He is a contracted player from Upton Football Club to the end of the season, as everyone knows. We don't want to lose him. We need some firepower there. But we just have to work through it.
Right. Well, thanks for your honesty. I'll move on quickly because obviously the Cole situation's been one that's been bubbling under for a week or so. The one bit of good news that we had was obviously managing to pinch Jacob Beddoe from Burnley. And as we know from last season, he's a very decent player at this level, Joel, and a really happy signing.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, not quite in time for the Stoke game last week, but now he's up. He's obviously came in the last few minutes against Fleetwood, but then making his full debut on Tuesday night against Bolton. But yeah, I thought he kind of just picked up where he left off. Really, I thought in the middle of that back three, I think that's a role he can probably do quite well. Really, because the way he's able to carry the ball out the back, it's really good. And maybe we might not see as much of that talent be able to shine against a team who are going to be up there like Bolton, but maybe especially against some teams lower down the table, we'll probably see his kind of distribution skills coming to the fore a bit more. But he got stuck in, he won a few headers. He's very, very good in one-on-one duels. He's very quick and mobile. So yeah, great to have him back and just another option for what's shaping up to be a really, really strong set of centre backs.
I'll come to you, Charlie. Now, I was saying the Jacob Beddoe situation. Obviously, the club are working hard behind the scenes and hoping to try and pull that off. How do we manage to pinch him from Burnley?
It's just a really great work by Greg again. Really, he's been a great addition to the team. Like I've said before, Greg Strong's brought a lot of good footballers to the football club, and Jacob was very keen to come back. We just had to wait for a few more weeks for a few pennies to drop in other areas, and then he could come along. We're delighted, and Chief's delighted as well.
Yeah, I'm not so Chief. Yeah, Chief will be delighted. That was for Jake and everybody else who doesn't know. Chief is Jacob's dog, who Charlie sent a Morecambe bandana. Charlie got Morecambe FC dog bandanas made. My dog had one, and he sent one to Chief Beddoe, which is Jacob's dog, last season, and it got lost originally, didn't it?
Yeah, it turned up in the close season, which was good timing.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, Chief's now wearing his good bandana. We're going to Oxford on Saturday. We had mixed fortunes against Oxford. We lost 3-1 there away last season, but we managed to somehow beat them 2-1 at home. And I do call it a smash and grab because it was a smash and grab. But Kassam Stadium, 3-sided ground, difficult place to go. They keep the ball on the deck. Their movement is absolutely fantastic, Jake. So it's going to be a tough encounter, isn't it?
It will be, yeah. Similar to Bolton in terms of playing style. Like to keep the ball, like to play passes about the pitch. And their manager's been there quite a while, so they know what they're doing in terms of obviously philosophies. Like I say, it'll be a tough test, but like you just mentioned there, you had a good record against them last year, and hopefully it can replicate it this year.
Particularly the home game, we played particularly well. Trevor Carson made one of the greatest saves I've ever seen live. But the away game, it was a difficult place to go, but we gave them a good game.
Yeah, definitely. We did give them a good game. I think a lot of their fans came away saying how impressed they've been with some of our football. And I think it was really good at times, but we were just probably, we were in that phase when we were a bit soft defensively. I know that was a lot of last season, but I think particularly around that point we were quite gentle. So yeah, it was a bit of a like we said, it was a fun day out overall. But I mean, looking at this season, they've probably not had the best start that they probably would have wanted, and they've made some decent signings towards the back end of the window. They kept all the Cameron Brannigan, which is pretty good. But just looking at some of the numbers quickly, they've not created a great deal, and they've but at the flip side, they look like they're being quite miserly in defence. So. Not too dissimilar to ourselves, really, I guess, in many ways. So it could be, I think we're nailed on for about 3-3, I'd say.
Yeah, probably. If I predict a 0-0, it's usually the bloody opposite.
Exactly. Yeah.
So moving on, we've got the Carabao Cup. We had the finest 5 penalties you will ever see against Stoke City. We've got Rotherham away at the New York Stadium. It's a bit of a free hit on Tuesday night, isn't it, Jake? We can just sort of like go there with no expectation and just sort of like have a go.
No, like you say, there's no expectation on our part, apart from obviously going into every game wanting to win. We know it'll be a tough test against a team a level above us at the minute. But like we proved against Stoke, we can more than hold our own, and hopefully we go there with a positive performance and try and get through to the next round.
It would be nice. Would you take penalties?
I would take penalties, yeah. Going off, obviously, the last penalty.
There's no
in the
extra
last
time. You
round was
definitely take
really
penalties,
good.
wouldn't you? No extra time. It's great.
Well, I mean, this is a really strange situation because our history over penalties is not great. But we did, with the last penalty shootout we were in was in the Carabao Cup against Grimsby a couple of seasons ago, and we did win that. But then if I look back at all of our penalties over even in the Papa John's Trophy and what have you, it doesn't matter who we're playing. We're usually Hartlepool, whoever. It's just like, oh God, we've got penalties. We might as well just shake hands, walk off. And then strangely against Stoke, I suppose it helped that their guy skied it, and it's still going in geostationary orbit around the moon. But everybody was as cool as a cucumber then, Jake. Was it everybody going, yeah, I'll take one, or what?
Well, I think the order was picked before that penalty kick was taken, to be fair, so I don't think you can put it down to that. But no, like you say, there were quality penalties. I think the lads must have been practicing in the week in case it got to that. But no, I reckon that first penalty gave the lads confidence to go ahead. And it always gives you that psychological edge if you can obviously get ahead in the penalty shootout and go on to win it.
So that was never in doubt, Joel. The Rotherham game, we played particularly well in both games again last season. We lost 3-0 on aggregate to Rotherham, and the home game we give them a right scare. And bizarrely, I actually think one of our best performances of the season was away at the New York Stadium, and we created far more chances than them. Their keeper made 2 stunning saves, one from John Obika, low to his right, and they won 2-0 with the only 2 chances they had. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think in fairness they created a little bit on. I think I remember Trev made a really good save onto the post. But yeah, overall, I think we probably at least deserved a point from that one. You know, their keepers made some unbelievable saves. Bennett's had a goal ruled out for, I don't think, for very, very little, very soft goal to be ruled out. So yeah, I think it shows that we can trouble a team like Rotherham. I know obviously they will have tried to strengthen this summer going into the Championship, but at the same time, maybe they'll try and rotate a little bit come this game in the Carabao Cup this year, as a lot of managers do, especially against kind of lower league opposition. So yeah, I think while it sort of is a little bit of a free hit in that, you know, the expectation will be on them to win. At the same time, you know, I don't think we're that vast underdogs. You know, we're not at the bottom of League Two anymore. So I think, you know, there's every reason to be positive about being able to get a result from it, especially if you look at our performances against them last season.
And I think, like anything else, if we go to, we're all the same. We're all pretty positive. If we go to Oxford and put on a decent show at Oxford, that'll surely help again Tuesday night, won't it, Charlie?
Well, yeah, I mean, Oxford haven't had the best start of the season, have they, so far? I don't think. You know, they're a bit low on confidence. I hope we can go there and get a result and you know, the good performance. And you know, people were saying that we're disappointed about the draw of Rotherham, but we've got a good history with them. We played well the last 2 times we played against them. We had a good result in our, how many years ago was it? 10 years ago? 15 years ago?
Ooh, is that the 5-4 one with the Jack Dunn might have twigged those.
So it's still an exciting game, you know. And we should, like Jake was saying, we take 5 penalties like that again. We'll definitely take penalty shootout, won't we?
Oh yeah, without a shadow, I'd take penalty shootout against anybody on them 5 penalties. The only one that the guy got anywhere near was Shane McLaughlin's, and Shane hit it that low and hard that he dived over it. That'll do for me. Long may that continue. But I mean, obviously, we'll see what happens. And as Jake's already alluded to, Derek sends us out there to be tight and not give anything away. But he wants to win every game, doesn't he, Jake?
Yeah, and so we should, and so do the lads. I don't think you go into this game, go into any game wanting to, not win. And that starts on Saturday. And obviously, you alluded to the cup. We want to progress as far as we can in the cup because we know it brings financial rewards for the football club. So, and hopefully, if we get through on Tuesday, we can get a big draw and visit, the likes of Tottenham like you did last year in the FA Cup.
Yeah, I know why you signed for us now. You've just let it slip. So we'll come to yourself now, and obviously from Manchester, obviously born in Manchester, and just before I get going here, I was in the home end about 2:20 last Saturday, and I got a call off a mate who was in the seats. And he said, "Can you do me a favour?" I said, "Yeah, of course I can." And he said, "Can you point? I've just been speaking to a chap while queuing for me pie, and can you point us in the direction of who we would need to contact to try and get picked up on the supporters coach?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I know. Yeah, if you contact so and so and so and so in the club shop, they're responsible for it, and I think they'll be on the coach." So I sent him all the details, and he texted me back saying, "Oh, thanks very much. I've just found out it's Jake Taylor's dad, and he wants picking up. He wants picking up because he's coming from Stockport. Is that right, Jake? He wants supporters coach."
Yeah, not quite Stockport. He loves it. He loves it. To be fair to him, obviously, my past clubs, he's always gone on the supporters coach. Gets involved with all the fans. So yeah, he's been known for doing that. Yeah.
Oh well, that's great. I just thought it was a great story, and I thought, well, it ideal because obviously it's fresh in my mind. When Ryan said, "Oh yeah, I've got you, Jake Taylor," I was like, "Oh, brilliant! I can tell that tale and rat on his dad."
Yeah, he'll be right on that coach.
Yeah, so that's a warning to anybody on the coach: don't go slagging Jake off too much because his dad will be watching over you.
You watch it. They'll all listen to this on the coach. They're going to Oxford on Saturday. They'll all be like, "I thought Jake did well." "Oh yeah, brilliant. Yeah. What about Farron Rawson?" "Oh, he was crap. His dad's not here." So obviously
I think he's used to it now anyway.
you got picked up by Forest when you were pretty young, and then obviously you did a loan at Port Vale. You did at Scunthorpe. Port Vale, you did so well that they actually pinched you off Forest, and you had a really, really good time at Port Vale, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I really enjoyed my time at the Vale, especially my first loan spell, going back 2 seasons now. And going off that, I decided to sign back permanently with the club. Didn't go as the plan as probably the first time round, but that was probably difficult to do. Struggled with injuries last year. Didn't play as much as I probably thought I would do. But on the whole, I really enjoyed it. And obviously it's a great club and obviously I have fond memories there.
Cherry on the top, though, was going to be MOM at Wembley in the playoff final, hasn't it?
Well, I didn't officially get MOM. I went to James Wilson.
But when we signed you, every single Port Vale fan who came onto our website went, "He was man of the match on the Wembley game," didn't they?
And most of the time, they actually, when we sign a player, they come along and go, "Oh, he's crap. You're getting relegated." So it was a nice change.
Because they all said you were fantastic at Wembley. So, I mean, if you're going to make your name anywhere, that's the place, surely.
Yeah, the home of football. That was a great occasion. And made better that we won, obviously, on the day. Just a shame that the fans weren't the Sky Sports pundits and I could have gone on with the MOM trophy, but
that's
what it is.
The thing is, Sky Sports pundits, they know nothing. Absolutely. But it's funny because obviously when you come on like this, obviously we look at your career and we go on Wikipedia and what have you. And the quote that I liked on Wikipedia was, and it was I think it was the assistant manager or the interim manager at Port Vale had said, well, he had a great game at Wembley because he was spraying 2-footed passes all over the park. And I'm like, "Ooh, that's a setup, that, isn't it?" Which it is. It's going to be hard to live up to that.
It is, yeah. It is, yeah. But obviously, going in the future, under playing for Morecambe, we can have days like that in the future. But no, like you say, it's starting on Saturday, like you say, yeah, starting on Saturday. But
100% record at Wembley, Jake. 100% record.
100%, yeah. 1-1. So,
and we've got 3 out of 3.
Continue.
We've got 3 out of 3. We've never lost at Wembley either. So we're definitely a good match here. You've signed for the right club. I'm telling you, you signed for the right club.
Let's make it 4-4.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I like. I like positivity. and even if it is the playoffs, we'll win the penalties. I'll tell you now. So looking at when it became obvious that Port Vale were honest with you and said you're probably going to be not one of the first 3 in the midfield 3 for this season, did you then think, well, I'll tough it out and somebody might get injured, or when you heard the interest from Morecambe, were you like, well, actually, I like what Derek's got to say?
Yeah, exactly that. We had a few conversations with Derek, and I knew my game time wouldn't be as what I'd want it at Vale this year. And as a football player, it's a short career, so you want to get as many games as you possibly can. Derek obviously explained his ideas, and it really made my mind up to want to come and play for him and the club. And that was ultimately the decision I made, and I'm looking forward to getting as many games as I can this season.
So your dad didn't say, "Oh no, it's a bit nearer than Stoke, so yeah, go there because I can get a coach easier." Was that out to do with it?
No, he'll travel length and depth for the country. He's not bothered. He's not that bothered.
But he don't want to drive.
No. You can't get his head around that. He has to go past his house to come back. So you just have to firm it and get on with it.
Right, I'm going to hand you over to our tame interrogator now, Joel. I haven't ruined any of your questions, have I?
No, I think there's been a good degree of separation on it. So let's go. Yeah,
on you go.
But
notice him taking a drink then because he's frightened.
I know you've built me up a bit much, haven't you? But no. Well, firstly, I kind of wanted to ask because obviously I think we mentioned about before, seeing what people say on Twitter, and obviously you take it with more on the pitch, you take them with a handful of salt, really, because a lot of it is nonsense a lot of the time. But obviously, in this case, they were actually being quite nice about you, so I'm happy to take that. But in terms of the style of play, I was reading a few different things, and there was so much kind of said, like some people have made it out like you were kind of almost like a Jorginho kind of style deep line playmaker, and other people you read it and they make it out that you were kind of like a number 10 type. So I just kind of wonder, what is there any kind of particular midfield mold you see yourself in?
Probably in the middle, not a 10 and not a deep line. No, I can play all roles in the midfield, to be fair, depending on how the manager wants to set out. I can play box to box, I can play deep line, I can play just off the striker. But I'd like to think of myself.
Which do you prefer?
Which do I prefer?
Yeah. What would you like to play?
I like to think of myself as a forward-thinking player, so probably further up, maybe as an 8 or a 10.
So getting in the box.
Yeah, it gives you license to go and get goals and get assists and get further up the pitch. So out of the 3 roles, I'd probably prefer that one, but it doesn't. I don't mind either one.
Because I guess that kind of ties in, because obviously I don't know if you saw what he said, but obviously Derek kind of made a comparison with Aaron Wildig to yourself, and how he kind of sees you as somebody who is going to be able to kind of make those late runs into the box. And is that something you've kind of been looking to kind of get into your game a bit more?
Yeah, it's something surely I can add. Can add more goals to my game. And you look at the players like you just mentioned. It's something that I can, bring to the team and try and implement in my game. Hopefully I can start that on Saturday.
So kind of looking back at the transfer itself, obviously we've kind of touched on it a little bit already, but kind of reading a lot around it, like it sounds like Derek was very keen to get you and was kind of made it clear that you were going to be quite a big player for him. I think he's made that clear publicly. Obviously, I don't know what's been said behind closed doors, but that's been the impression I've got. But when a manager kind of does go out there kind of and says, I really value. I think he said he tried to sign you before. How is that a really big selling point for you as a player when making the decision over a transfer?
Yeah, it means an awful lot. As a player, that's the one probably thing you want, 100% trust from your manager. And maybe I've not had that in my past clubs on a consistent basis. And it's something that he really sold, and he made it clear to me that I'm going to be a big part of his team this season. And then like you say, it meant a really lot, and it gives you the confidence to go out there, no matter if you have one or two bad games, that he still has that trust in you to go out and play for him.
So obviously now you're obviously settling in with a lot of the new players as you do in a new club. And I think watching over the opening games, I think just in general in football, I think kind of being good at attacking is quite difficult because you're trying to break people down and find gaps and break up teams who are often quite organised. So, I mean, from your perspective as a player who's got some attacking responsibilities, is it quite hard to kind of learn to gel and kind of learn where everybody's going to be when you first start playing with them?
It can be, yeah. But you see stories where players click straight away. And others maybe takes a little bit of time. Certain players make different runs to one another. But like you say, the team's pretty new, and it'll take time for us to gel and build them relationships. But it's something that we're working on in training, and hopefully it can come to tuition on game day on Saturday. Yeah,
definitely. So looking back to last season, just again. Obviously, it ended quite nicely with Wembley, but it's looking into it, it looks like it was quite a frustrating one with that injury kind of taking you out for quite a long amount of time. So was that a bit of a tricky period, especially after kind of joining on a big 3.5-year deal and then to have a season, a lot of it taken away by injury?
Yeah, it was probably the toughest period yet that I've experienced. Just for the case that it was just the one injury and it kept reoccurring. It was so frustrating. You do everything right, you do your rehab right, and for it to keep breaking down and miss big portions of a promotion winning season, it ended up being was really difficult. But I ended it on a good note, and hopefully that I can stay fit for longer periods this season and try and get as many games as I can.
So just on that kind of little final run at the end of the season, we've kind of touched upon it already, obviously speaking about John Abika, but you came in, I think it was at the beginning of April, I was looking at earlier, you came back in and then you've ended up starting two. I think you came off for the second half in the first one, didn't you, the playoff games, and then started the next two.
The first leg, yeah.
So when you're kind of in that lead up to the playoffs, when you're coming back for an injury and trying to get sharp again, is there anything you try and do to kind of get that match level of sharpness?
Very little that you can do, to be honest with you. You need the games to get that sharpness. But I was lucky enough that we had a really good team, really good spirit last season. And, you knew obviously the style of play that we was trying to play, and it was easy just to fit in. But regards to match fitness, I didn't have it 100%, because obviously I was out for such a long period of time from the new year to April, like you've just said. So I didn't really play with that 100% match fitness. Kind of just try to perform as well as I could under the circumstances.
Very interesting. Yeah, back to you, Freeze.
So looking at the final question from me, Jake. Obviously Derek sold the club to you. We're not the richest club in the world. We haven't got the best resources. We haven't got the biggest crowds, etc., etc. But we are small, and we're a really tight family now. What was your first impressions of playing, first of all, in some of the friendlies in the ground, and then obviously the 2 home games we've had, 4,500, nearly 5,000 there on one occasion. Is it a little cauldron? Does it help?
It does help, yeah. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, you got the big stand, and then that it's really tight knit behind the goal as well, and it creates a really good atmosphere. So no, I enjoyed it, and it's a nice place to play, and hopefully we can start picking up some wins at home, and it gets more louder and a better atmosphere around the place.
I think the one thing that has helped, and it is worth mentioning on the podcast, that Rob the groundsman, I know he was, he wanted, there were certain things that he wanted over the summer, and I know that he fought tooth and nail to get them. But in my opinion, that pitch has never looked better, guys, has it? It looks absolutely super.
Really nice.
It's an absolutely fantastic job. It does look like Wembley, and that's probably, in years gone by, Jake, we've had a pitch which sort of like from February till May has been big clumps of grass missing, etc., and I don't think that's going to happen this year. So when you're playing the Sheffield Wednesdays and the derbies, they're going to come and we're rolling out a carpet. Is that the right thing to do?
Yeah, maybe we should get out there and kick the pitch up a little bit. Sorry, Rob.
Well, he has. He's done a fantastic job as Rob, and I think it's worth mentioning on here because I know that the board have backed him, and I know he fought tooth and nail to say, I want this grass seed, and I want that, and I want the other, and blah, blah, blah. And in my opinion, it's never, ever looked better. It looks absolutely superb. So well done, Rob. So, Charlie, anything happening? Well, obviously, you're on holiday. I'm sure you're keeping us up to date with what's happening off the field with Ben and everybody else.
Yeah, there's a few things about the ground safety which we're looking at following the Fleetwood game, which we'll report back on. Ben's got a good review of the year. His first year in the job to come out in the next week or so, which is really, really good. I've seen that. And trying to get through the transfer window and get the squad as strong as possible to try and get in the playoffs and get Jake to Wembley. Yeah,
for penalties at least. Interesting. We wish Wes McDonald well at Hartlepool. Always sad to see players depart. Didn't quite work out for him. I think we're all expecting...
Man of the match, I saw on Twitter.
Yeah, that's right.
Man of the match.
We're all expecting big things from Wes, weren't we, Joel? So it's sad that it's not worked out, but perhaps League Two was, just a step too far. I'm not sure. What do you think?
It's just transfers. It's what happens sometimes. We've signed players who've not done very well at a previous club. As I alluded to before, all the fans have come on and told us we're getting relegated and whatnot. I remember Bradford and Carlisle fans giving us a right load of stick when we signed Nat Knight Percival, and he was one of the best players at the match when we won at Wembley. So, it is a division below, and maybe it's just, a bit of TLC, slightly lower division, just a little bit of a reset. Sometimes he needs a football.
Interestingly, though, on the pod at the moment, we've got Jake Taylor. Jake Taylor is probably the only person we've ever signed in the last 3 years when no one on Twitter said anything bad.
No, this is what I was alluding to, Jake. Seriously, everybody had nice things to say about you. So I'm thinking, oh, crikey. It was like when you arrived, the Twitter feed went mad with people saying nice things. People come on the message board and said nice things. And I was like, I think he might be Jesus reborn here, because he's nobody's got a bad word to say about you. Tell us something bad about yourself.
No, I appreciate that. But as you can imagine, some football fans can be very fickle. 1 week you're Maradona, the next week someone awful. But I had a great relationship with the Vale fans, and obviously, like you said, they've said nice things. I don't actually have Twitter, so I wouldn't know. I don't read that sort of stuff. But
no, you're right.
No, good
thinking.
Yeah,
but you've still got to tell us, what's your worst habit? Tell us something. Tell us. I need to know that you're not the second coming. I need to know.
Worst habit? Oh, you'd have to ask my missus about that one. I'm not too sure. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Get her in quick.
She's actually at work in a minute, so
I'll bet you she's got more than one.
Yeah, you could imagine.
So just a quick update from me. I was at a meeting last night with Rod Taylor, Les Taylor, Lawrence Bland, who else? Quinny, Ben Sadler, Martin, ex-players Jerry Farrell and Graham Byram, and we're getting together at Les Taylor's request to try and formulate a plan to form a former players association, which is always a nice thing to do. And we've all been set off our separate ways to sort of talk to ex-players. And I've been in contact with quite a few today who are all very, very keen to get involved. And I'll tell you more about it when we know a little bit more about it. But suffice to say that there's going to be quite a few ex-players turning up for a lunch and a get-together in the local choice suite, and I'll meet up with the fans against, I think it's the Pompey game on November the 12th. So that's something to look forward to, and I'm sure you'll, fans out there will be keen to get involved. We've got already confirmed people like Jim McCluskey and Ben Lavelle and Andy Grimshaw, the Yard Dog, and people from the past who've done brilliant things to get this club to where it is in League One, and wouldn't be where we are without them. So I think it's nice to see that a lot of players, ex-players, still look upon their time fondly at Morecambe, which is nice. And much like you said about Port Vale, Jake, it's always nice when you look back at a time and think, yeah, I've enjoyed myself, but it's time to move on. And that's the wanderers of a footballer, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and sometimes it can be rare to come across. But when you have that affiliation with a football club, it's like I've said, it can be rare. But no, like you say there, it's good to hear that obviously former players really enjoyed the time here. Not if that can be the same.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Joel, anything from the trust? Obviously, it's the AGM next Thursday.
That's kind of the headline thing, isn't it? The AGM is on Thursday. Is it the local choice suite, isn't it? It's known as now. God, I just don't want to trip myself up there. But 7 p.m. I believe, 25th of August. The club, obviously, feel free to come along. Keep an eye on Facebook for any updates about it. But yeah, should be a good one. And
from that point of view, we'll have to record on Wednesday then, won't we?
Yes, very possibly.
The semantics of it. I don't think there's anything else on my list to talk about. Nope, there isn't. We've done everything that we can. Suffice to say that we hope Jake's dad gets sorted out and he's on the coach to Oxford. Has he got a Morecambe scarf yet, Jake?
Not yet, no. I have to tell him to buy one.
Yeah, I need one.
Has he got a dog?
Has he got a dog?
He's got two.
Oh, you're in, Charlie.
Yeah, he's got two.
What's he got?
He's the two
bandanas.
crossbreeds.
Has he got bandanas? Do they like bandanas, the dogs?
Yeah, no.
Do they wear them?
Yeah, they'll wear them for sure.
I'll let you, when we go off air, you can get his dad's address and off you go. What's your dad's name, Jake?
David.
Right.
In mind now, what's the dog's name?
Bella and Molly.
Bella and Molly, yeah. Excellent.
There you go.
Cool, sort it out.
Bella and Molly Taylor will be wearing dog bandanas on the walk next week. Hopefully he gets a scarf when he's on the coach. Everybody on the coach, be nice to him. So if you stop in somewhere near Manchester to pick a fan up, you know who it is.
Yeah.
This has been ShrimpNet episode 4. We're always positive, despite the trials and tribulations of what's going on with miscreant centre forwards and not scoring enough goals and whatever. Everything's good in the world. Please join us again next week when we can talk about Jake opening his account with a 30-yard screamer at Oxford, and also a bizarre own goal that leads to penalties and us winning at Rotherham. There you go. That's my predictions. Fingers crossed. Joel, thank you very much.
Cheers, Freeze.
Jake, thanks for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed it, and you can say to everybody in the dressing room, "Oh, that was a doddle. I'd go on again." Even if you're lying.
No, I'll say good things. Don't worry about that.
Good man. Well, you should do, because your dad's going to end up with 2 dog bandanas. Charlie, enjoy the rest of your holiday. Come back tanned and interesting as you always are, and thanks for your input as always.
Thank you.
And this has been ShrimpNet episode 4. We shall see you on the terraces. Take care.